as my wife did. He only did it about 10 years ahead of us, or behind us. Excuse me, it's behind us. Anyhow, it's some of the virtues that he gleaned from some of those schools that he went to, I didn't. One of them is a tremendous memory. I wished I had. They say you can covet the best things in life. That's one I would like to covet. The other one is that this man is a humble man. He texted me when I asked him how he would like to be introduced, and he said, just introduced me as Dick Hart, fellow traveler. And I thought that was very humble, but I don't want to stop there. There's a number of things that you need to know about him. And if we'd stay here probably all night, practically, if we went through everything that he has accomplished in life. Prior to becoming president, Richard H. Hart, MD, and Doctor of Public Health, was named Chancellor and Chief Executive Officer of Loma Linda University in February of 2001. He was born in, do I dare tell this, 1945. Yes, he is 10 years younger than I am. And at Loma Linda Sanitarium and Hospital, that's where our daughter was born too. And received his early education in Washington, Upper Columbia Academy at Spangle. My sister was the first dean there, and my wife graduated from there as well. And two of my grandchildren did. Okay, and while at Walla Walla, he became the first student missionary of the Seventh-day Adventist Church to serve outside of North America. In 1966, prior to his first year in medical school, he married Judy Osborne. Now that may be one of the smartest things he ever did, right? Those who know her probably would say so. But he has three daughters, Chandra, Brianna, and Carrie. And I'm sure that they're very proud of his father as well. In 1970, he earned a Loma Linda University degrees in medicine, the School of Medicine, and an MPH from the School of Public Health. Following an internal medicine internship at Loma Linda University Medical Center, he began studies toward his doctorate and public health degree in Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore. Did you ever rub shoulders with Ben Carson? All right. I could go on and read all of this, but what I'd like for you to do sometime is to Google up Dr. Hart, president of Loma Linda University, and read the rest of the long list of things that he has accomplished in life, and you will be impressed. Dr. Hart, we're so happy that you're here. Let's give him a good round of applause. Thank you.
Well, it's good to be back with you again. If I keep coming, I'm going to run out of stories. So what I thought I'd do this evening, actually, because I wasn't sure I was going to make it. I left Pasadena at 3:15 and I've been in heavy traffic almost all the way here, was I sent some videos, because I want two videos. I'm going to show you two videos tonight. The first one is from our Gateway College, and let me just talk about that a little bit. So I think most of you heard about it. I talked about it last time, I think, out here. But 2 years ago, actually 2.5 years ago now, we had an opportunity to build a clinic in downtown San Bernardino. So some of you know that San Bernardino is the second largest bankrupt city in the country after Detroit, with all the issues that it faces down there. And we sit 3 miles south of San Bernardino. And for 114 years now, we've been saying, come on over, we'll help you. And some of them do, but there's nothing quite like going there. And so we made the decision to build a clinic in downtown San Bernardino, right alongside the freeway. Some of you should have seen it, right along the 215 as you head north out of San Bernardino. That's been one of the most significant things Loma Linda has ever done, as far as the community and the sense of involvement and so on from there. It's a 150,000 square foot clinic building. The bottom 2 floors are clinics, what we call SAC Health System, Social Action Community Health System, where we're now seeing around 100,000 patient visits a year. The top floor is what we call the San Manuel Gateway College, named after the San Manuel tribe of Mission Indians. And I won't go through the whole story, but for when we came to Loma Linda in 1905, when our founders came to Loma Linda in 1905, the people they found there were the Serrano Indians who lived in the valley in San Bernardino. And every summer they would go up into the mountains, Big Bear, Arrowhead, Oak Glen, and stay. And this winter they came down and stayed in the valley. And our faculty started taking care of them. And Dr. Lyra George was one of our first obstetrician gynecologists at Loma Linda, started in 1907. And she quickly developed a practice of they would send in somebody saying a woman's about ready to deliver. She would get on her horse and ride out to their little house, wherever it was in the valley, and deliver their baby. And that went on for quite a few years. They finally got cars, and the security got a little bit sketchy, so she started taking a senior medical student with her, and they'd hook up a wire to the battery of the car and run the wire into the house so they could have a light, and she would deliver babies. Through the years, the Serrano Indians deeply appreciated what Loma Linda took care of them. And so now in more recent years, when they have a lot of money, because they're into casinos, they're into hotels, restaurants, a number of things, they came to us and says, Loma Linda, we would like to give back. For 100 years, we didn't have anything, and you took care of us. Now we have something we want to work with you on. And so he says, well, we're getting ready to build this building. Would you like to do that? And they says, absolutely. So they put $10 million of the $68 million into that building, and we named the school after them, San Manuel Gateway College. And that college is specifically designed for high school kids to get a job entry skills. So there's a whole plethora of jobs that are what we call certificate level programs. These are things like medical assistant, nursing assistant, pharmacy tech, dialysis tech, surgical tech. There's a whole bunch of people like that work in the healthcare business. When you go to a doctor, you probably see one of these people. And so that's what we're doing at the San Manuel Gateway College, is taking high school kids that typically don't have a chance to go on to college, giving them job entry skills. Usually these are 6 months to 12 months long, and then launching them into their careers. And what I'd like to start with tonight is show you a video of one of those young ladies. This is a young lady, you'll pick it up if you listen carefully from the film, but actually attempted suicide at 13 years of age, but then ended up at our Gateway College. So let me tell you the story of Adilma. Let's go ahead and roll the first video.
San Bernardino is 60 miles out of Los Angeles. It's considered the ghetto of Southern California because there's a lot of violence, a lot of families in poverty, a lot of homeless. Living in the borderline of San Bernardino, I see both ends. When you go to Loma Linda, it's a lot of educated people, a lot of nice houses, a lot of families that have a mom and a dad and all that. And when you go over to the other side where it's San Bernardino, it's a lot of broken families, a lot of people struggling to make an income. So being in the middle, I get to see the bad side and the good side, and it makes me want the family, the good income, the beautiful home, and that's what my inspiration is. So I get to see what I don't want to be and what I want to be. My mom, when she got pregnant with me, it wasn't a good situation. So my grandma had this hatred towards me. It was very hard growing up because I started believing what my grandma had told me, that I was stupid and that I was never gonna do anything in life. It started to just overcome, I couldn't deal with all the anger I had inside towards my grandma. So my only coping skill was self-harm because I didn't know any other way of dealing with the stuff that was happening to me. After I got admitted into the behavioral medical center, that's when I knew what my calling was, because I knew that I had to help somebody. I met a nurse and she really showed me that even I was going through something at that moment, that there was so much things that my life could be made of, and that nurse kind of opened the doors for me for what I want to do, and I want to be a psychiatric nurse.
So it's a very unique setup here at Gateway College, where we have entry-level medical professionals like medical assistant. They're interacting then with the RNs, the residents, the attendings, as well as the medical students. So in that approach, then it's this vertical all the way from attending, resident, medical student, PA or NP student, physician assistant, nurse practitioner, nurse, LVN, MA, and MA students all interacting together. This is a time where it's not just a top-down approach to education, but it's also a bottom-up approach.
So the Gateway College students really teach me how to best serve the people of this community that this clinic serves. And they do that because they come from this community, and that's something that I can't learn from anybody else.
The residents are getting exposure, the attendings are getting exposure with the medical assistant students who are working in the clinics in order to provide that vertical integration. The horizontal integration is then the interprofessional work. So a clinical pharmacist, a dietitian, a behavioral health therapist are seeing and interacting with the patients as well as with the other learners.
The adult who comes to see you in internal medicine who's a domestic violence victim and has children at home, that places that child 6 times more likely to be a victim of child abuse.
So whether there are medical students, whether they are the MA students themselves, whether there are the attending physicians, that interprofessionalism is happening.
I'm graduating from the medical assisting program. It just feels really special to be the first class and inspire other kids and other adults. I love Gateway and I love everybody here. I'm a medical assistant now at SAC Health System, which stands for Social Action Community Healthcare. I love my job, and giving back to my community in healthcare is amazing because when you try to help a patient and you know what they're feeling, it's a different experience. That's why I am here, and that's why I pursue healthcare, because I want to help a little girl or somebody that doesn't feel loved, to let them know that you have a purpose in life. Don't let anybody stop you.
I chatted with Adilma a little bit a couple days ago. I was down at the clinic. You know, we sometimes talk about unintended consequences, but I'd like to tell you one more story about intended consequences of this clinic. I was down there, we have once a month, we have what we call community grand rounds, where instead of doctors giving all the stuff, we have the medical assistants and the community health workers. They put on the program and tell some incredible stories about saving and helping different people. Well, 2 weeks ago when I was down there for this, it was actually the residents were telling a story. And it turns out that there was a group of residents that were in a program back in Memphis, Tennessee. When I say residents, I'm talking about physicians in specialty training. That's our nomenclature for physicians when they're doing specialty in OBs, peds, orthopedics, and so on. And this program was in Memphis, Tennessee, a church-run residency program in family medicine with funding from the federal government. And the federal government, not this latest thing, but about a year ago had some troubles and didn't pay as much as they had been, and it closed the program. So when that happens, particularly in a faith-based program like this, they often call Loma Limda and saying, "Can you pick up these residents? They need they need a place to go," because they like to keep them in their training program. And we usually say yes, and so we did. So 5 residents from various Christian backgrounds came to Loma Limda to finish their family medicine residency program. What I didn't know is when they came, they said, you know, we feel our biblical injunction is that we should go and live where our patients come from. So they got out the map, got out GPS, looked at the distribution of patients coming to SAC, and says, there's some hot spots. There's where our patients come from. And some of those, of course, are the ghetto areas of San Bernardino. So they picked out a spot in North San Bernardino, one of the worst ghettos in San Bernardino, drug traffics, prostitution in the works. Says that's where we want to live. There were 2 couples, another single girl, and then one of our residents from Loma Limda decided to join them, she and her husband. And so we've got 6 residents now living in North San Bernardino, and they were telling their story. They were watching drug deals go down in their front yard. They started to meet the people that live around them. They had somebody shot just around the corner. And they said, this is what we are meant to be. This is what we should be doing. They were sharing a book called Toxic Charity. It's quite a book if you want to read a challenging book. And they were living their dream. They had no regrets. They were there because that's what they felt God had called them to do, is to live in that situation and become acquainted with the patients that were the type of patients that were coming to their clinic. Let me shift back to the main campus and talk just a little bit about what's happening, and then I want to show you another video, a longer video from Africa. We're building a new hospital. I trust many of you have seen that. We had the topping off ceremony of the final top beam in, what was it, December 13, I think it was, or something like this. 16 stories up, 9-story pediatric tower and 16-story adult tower. The current plan, and we're on schedule, is to take possession of the building in November 23 of next year, 2020. And then it'll take us probably 3, 4, 5 months to get all the equipment moved in and everything, and then move into the new hospital. So that is on target. It will be a major facility, as you can imagine, and hopefully will kind of set the stage for Loma Linda for the next 50 years, I would hope. That's how long the last building served us, and so we're hoping this will do that as well. We're off to a good start otherwise as far as an academic year. I shared last time with you some of the challenges we're facing in the Adventist Church, and they are significant challenges. We have closed 254 primary and secondary schools in the last 10 years in this country. 254. About 20% of all of our schools have closed in the last 10 years, including one college, of course, Atlantic Union College. The enrollment in our colleges is going down. 7 years ago, we had just over 27,000 students in our 13 colleges and universities. We're now down under 24,000. We're dropping about 2 to 2.5% a year in our colleges. So we've got some challenges, some huge challenges, and it impacts Loma Linda from several places. We worry about the church. It's also our feeder system, where our students come from all these colleges. And so we're doing what we can to try to reverse that trend. There's a number of different reasons for it, and I'm not going to go through all of that here. The changing demographics in the church, you hear about tuition costs, of course, you hear about a lot of different things that are factors in that. But it is of great concern to those of us in education, because this church primarily grows through our school system, and that's the way our young people stay in the church. And right now that system is dwindling. Around the world, of course, that isn't true. We have a total of 8,000 schools in the Adventist Church around the world, 8,000. There's 113 colleges and universities that are part of that. There's 1.8 million students go to Adventist schools every day. The vast majority of them are not Adventist students. I mean, these are schools all over the world that are training young people who come from wherever that school is located and get their education in that way. Another interesting fact, I was just recently out in Zambia. The country of Zambia, which has, I think, now 23 million people or something like this year will have more Seventh-day Adventists than the United States does. They're crossing 1.2 million Adventists in Zambia, and that's about what we have in the U.S. So our growth is, we're growing, but very slowly, whereas much of the developing world is growing very rapidly. 93% of Adventists now live outside of the United States. 93%. There's only 7% left here in the U.S. So that's a changing world in which we live. One of the things that we have felt strongly at Loma Linda is that the potential for serving human need, for confronting human need, is a key part of developing young professionals. You can talk about it all you want in the classroom, and you can show pictures, but until you actually confront human need and kind of challenge yourself, that's when you make a difference. It's what we call teachable moments. And so over the few years, over quite a few years now, we've had many programs at Loma Linda that encourage that. Carl certainly remembers those back in his day and beyond. But over the last probably 15, 20 years, we've had about 400 students a year from Loma Linda. About 10% of our student body have gone abroad someplace during the year. Sometimes it's just a weekend trip to Mexico. Other times it's a month in Africa, or a month in Latin America, or several months during the summer, and so on. And that's been a huge blessing to Loma Linda. About 5 years ago, the deans getting together says, you know, this is such an impactful thing. Let's double the number of students who do this. So we are now, this last year, we had almost 800 students, 20% of our student body that spent some time abroad someplace. And it is a very significant thing. Staff go, faculty go, and in those trips, the connectedness that happens is a very significant thing for our students. We have 175 hospitals in the church. Half of those are in the U.S., but the other half are scattered around the world. So we have another organization there called Adventist Health International that works with many of those hospitals. About 40 different hospitals now, we're involved with the management of them. And a few years ago, we said we need to take a few of those hospitals and take them up to a higher level. I mean, mission hospitals, many of them struggle for survival. They struggle to keep their equipment going, for staffing and so on. But let's make a few that are kind of high-level hospitals. So we started first with Malamulo Hospital in Malawi. Malamulo is a 200-bed hospital with a college associated with it, and decided to name Malamulo as a global campus from Loma Linda. We now have 5 Loma Linda physician faculty there at Malamulo. We have a number of other staff, and Malamulo has really taken off and become an excellent training site for our students. We're now in the process of taking the next hospital up to be a global campus, and that's a hospital in Haiti. And we have a small 50-bed hospital on the western side of Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and we want to make that our next global campus. So we have one in the Americas, and then finally we plan to do the same thing with Sheer Memorial Hospital in Nepal. So we'd have one in Africa, one in the Americas, and one in Asia. It takes a lot of energy to do that because mission hospitals typically in the church are expected to survive on their own, to try to generate their own revenue and so on, which is not easy when you get into many of these countries. Let me show you a picture, a video from Malamulo. And this one is a little bit longer. How many of you have seen what we call Life on the Line? Do you know what I'm talking about? Well, you need to. For the last, I think we're in the 5th season now, Loma Linda produces a half-an-hour video that goes on to public television. There's usually 5 stories each year that we produce that goes on public television. And if you go on to PBS, you can find this. And these go all over this country, and frankly, they're on world public television all over the world to tell various stories. Now, Loma Linda isn't identified in those because you can't use public television to market yourselves. So, you know, we put them together, but then we put them out there and they tell their own story. The ones coming out this year, I want to show one of you. It's not been on public television yet. It will be about Malamulo Hospital. And one of the programs that one of our doctors out there, Dr. Christy Shank, started probably about 10 years ago now, about pap smears. And in much of Africa, certainly Malawi, they don't do pap smears. And so the incidence of cervical cancer is very high, and a lot of women die from that. So Christy, when she was medical director at Malamulo, decided to start a pap smear program that has now grown in the country of Malawi. And let me show you that video, and then we'll talk and answer some questions.
The country of Malawi is fighting a health crisis. Women are dying from a preventable disease.
Malawi has the #1 incidence of cervical cancer in the world.
Cervical cancer is one of the most deadly, but also one of the most preventable cancers in women.
It's a very big problem for many reasons. Lack of education that there is a cervix and it needs to be screened. Lack of access to screening facilities. HPV prevalence is high.
Virtually all cases of cervical cancer are caused by the HPV virus. The HPV vaccine can prevent the disease, but it's not readily available in Malawi. The HPV virus is spread through sexual contact.
Women who are unaware of that fact, aren't aware they should be using condoms. Maybe nobody's educating them that if you sleep with more people, you have more chance of having this disease. So there's a high HPV prevalence.
If a woman is not screened regularly, the HPV virus can become a problem.
A big problem, a cancer.
Malawi is a country in Central East Africa. Its economy is based on agriculture. The Chiolo district is home to a number of tea plantations. And for many Malawians, growing food on small plots of land is their only source of income.
Talimako tomato ndi mafekitabo ngati mpiru nditodi. Ndimazipasa nthawi kuteroko ndimatha mwina nkunyamuka filiko loko mbanda kucha ya usiku nkubwera nkuthirira. Katero ndimapita ndikawaphikire mayi ngati chithandizo kuti ana apite ku sukulu. Ndikateronso ndimapezeka kuti ndikubwereranso konkuno mwina nkuzamalizisa kantchito nthawi ina. Pamakwananso nthawi ya lunch so ndimayesesa kuti kuona 10 o'clock kapena 11 o'clock nthamangire patient ndikathe kumuona kuti kodi aliko bwanji ndikathenso kutanganidwa kupanga zina za pakhomo. Nthawi inaso ndizipase mita yotinso ndithenso kubwera kuno kugwira ntchito kulinga kuti ndisangokhala nanga ndipanga bwanji. Ndithu.
Ndinazifeti atatu wankulu anizaga 15 wachiwiri chino cha 12 aitatu anizaga 3 ni mezi 11 masesa nyumba phika ndiwo phika nsima kudya pereka madzi kusamba hai nonghawa mathabona kwe panadusa miezi 3 ndingosamba ndilala mina lipita ndikatani kale singawo fuka chikhalire sinabe ndachikapo zimenelo ngakhanira madinji ngakapanga zafala zimagwira zimbo pamaipo ngoshuka mama ngati sankaina basi maina wani papa mama umakhauta umantalikira masiyani kuti ndikakwera ndikakuti ndakwera panja sinimaona zinthu sinimasamba kwambiri kuna ngakhakuti ndaenda wapansi kwa mama ndikuti ngabomere kuli mataya magazi wangu.
Junior uzokusukuma ile kwa bwanji.
Na wewe ngabwino.
Ayo. Sono mmakalaka bwanji mutazamaliza skolo muzakhala ndani.
Nazakhala dokota.
Nangatadala somwe ile kwa bwanji ku skolo.
Ile kabwino.
Ayo kabwino? Nangeni mmakaka mutazagila ntchito ndilagana.
Nesi. Nesi.
Mafamba khala nesi. Aya chabwino kulimbikira skolo
Angaim. Mafamla kanda.
Inu from Zakaindan.
Azaji nyama. Nyama ya luma.
We were living in Washington State before coming here. I was in a small, low-risk private practice. We were, in a comfortable home with a lovely community.
After graduating from Loma Limda University in Southern California, Dr. Casey Graybill and her husband spent a month working in Malawi. 8 years later, she saw an ad in an alumni journal asking for doctors to work in Malawi. She sent an email offering to do short-term relief work.
And so I got a call from Dr. Hart at Loma Limda, who works hard to staff these kind of settings, saying, that's nice, but could you consider coming long-term again, please? We've been looking for an OBGYN doctor for many, many years. And my initial response was no, and then basically began to reconsider. We talked about it and prayed about it, and it wasn't an easy decision. So we've been living here for 2.5 years.
Juggling home life and work life, Dr. Graybill and her husband Aaron alternate days homeschooling their 4 and 6-year-old daughters, Anna and Alice. Aaron also works at the hospital doing logistics and community outreach projects.
The thing I realize more than ever is, how easy my life was before. I just by chance was born in a country with many resources, and then somebody else isn't, and so I just hope that people can recognize that disparity. There's women here who just don't have access to the basic rights that are theirs. They should have those things, and it's not fair, and I just hope people can see that.
Dr. Graybill spends a lot of her time working with Stella Narinda. Born in South Africa, Stella always knew she would be a nurse.
From childhood, I loved to work as a nurse. I had a passion for that. I think it was just in me, inborn.
In 2015, Stella started working in a new department at Malamulo Adventist Hospital, where she screens women for cervical cancer.
That's when I saw that it was really a big issue, because most of the women, when they came in for the first time to screen, most of them, they were found positive, others in an advanced stage.
One of Stella's responsibilities is to tell women they have tested positive for cervical cancer. In Malawi, this is often a death sentence.
Most of them, they cry. They really cry. And you have to stop and just be there. And then when they finish, we pray with them. Yeah. What keeps me going is the passion for these women. I really want to see these women not dying because of something that can be preventable. Today we are going to the village to see one of our palliative patients who has been diagnosed with advanced cancer of the cervix, just to find out how they are dealing with the condition, how it is affecting the family, the children, the relatives. It's heartbreaking, especially finding somebody who is very young. It's not easy.
Ngoni kwadusa miezi 3 vamene vinapezeka nefutunga imeneyo akuta kumudwayi inayi yonse yakumatani inayi yonse yakumapanga ana olonsakudwala ine oni mnobino reine kumazi sinimapita tokamati mgandi wamkazi ndomamuna kumazi sindizi wako wezapezera izi ananga naphunzitsa ntchito yang'ono silimadirapo nkhawa sikalimata kumvetse sana.
Without running water, her 12-year-old daughter hikes down to the well several times a day to provide for her family.
Iyi ndi banja langa lomwe ndinakumana nayo chali mozera muchipembedzo kukwaya, ndipo titakumana nawo unapezeka kuti ndinagwa mchikondi ndi mayiwa. Ineyo mayiwa amandikwanira chifukwa zomwe amandipangira kwa ineyo muchikondi chomwe timaoneserana tikakhala, komanso kulimbikitsana komwe tikakhala tikomwe timakulankhula, ndimaona kuti zimandikwanira ndithu ndipo zimandifikira, palibe chovuta china chilichonse.
Abambo imene makondera nefika kuti timagwirizana tikagwira ganyo timagwira mumasuka sitimanyozana kuti tipangiza kuti timapanga nthawi timagwirizana ngesi maderapo nkhawa iyayi pamene timakhala mwachikondi kufika siku la lero.
molingana ndi tikuchokera ku Malamulo, ku chipatala cha Malamulo. Ndiye takupezani kukutsatirani molingana ndi nthenda imene anapeza nawo mayiwa. Ndiye chiyambi cha vuto limeneli kuti muzamva kuti ine sindikumva bwino ndikayezetse kapena kuti zinakhala bwanji, zinayamba bwanji. Kumayambiriroko kuyamba kwa nthenda imeneyi zinayamba bwanji.
Tizumba mwina chilinafika pakuli manipanga mwina fuka nimaona ngati ndiende nimaona ngati phuma ndiye nimaona mazono kuti mwina magazi anga ndotani magazi anga ndochepa ndine zapita ni ukayezesa kuja ndamina mati magazi anga ndochepa so mampiri kuntunda kakutani akaikide magazi wana ndapezeka ni kansa ya mchiberekero ndiye ndikuti sanga yose kanga ya dani kanga ya falikira.
In high-resource countries, treatment for early cancer would be similar to what we do here. A woman would have the procedure to either freeze or remove a portion of the cervix or have a hysterectomy. The difference is that a woman with a cancer that has progressed beyond a certain stage would receive radiotherapy. Here, we don't have that at all.
If the cancer can't be removed by surgery, it's treated with radiation therapy. However, there is no radiation therapy available in the whole country of Malawi. With 70% of the population living on less than $2 a day, Alice and almost every woman with advanced cervical cancer do not have the resources to seek treatment outside the country. Alice is on palliative care for patients with a terminal diagnosis.
That doesn't mean that we're done with that patient. Palliative care is part of whole person care, recognizing that not only the physical needs need to be addressed, but the emotional needs, the spiritual needs, but also offering things like pain control.
In Malawi, right now what we are giving is just painkillers, the low dose, and then come to a moderate, and then the maximum. Only the painkillers. That's what we are able to give right now.
Chisomo is Alice's younger sister. Since Alice was diagnosed with cervical cancer, she helps out as much as she can. She's also afraid that she may have cancer too.
Zanifunza kwambiri tifika fungobira wani ndi wani mena bezeka ndivunga limene iliye. Wasota anagona pasi ayi mapankani mphamvu mbwini. Mongobira chipatalako wani ndi wani mena bezeka ndivunga limene. Ndiza ndikhuza kwambiri mtima.
Ndiye pali nthawi zina zimene inuyo mmathandizira monga akulu anu kuti zintchito zina zapakhomo.
Munga mwana inawe wina amakhala ali kunyumba kwa koma wankulu winayo ndi kakang'ono kamakonda okhala amayacho akumpana nasira taligana feti kutunda bya zimakhala bezivutira ko beba ng'ono saiza mbira amapanga nda bamvumo abo.
Lizwele pangu chinde kali meze mbamene namulimbikisa mpwangayo mbamene sikuja nasagana naye sikupita kukaizisa.
Ndiye inuyo munayezetsapo zakhansa yakho mula chiberekero.
Ndayezesa ndikuti pita lachitatu sonkambe masa.
Mupita mukambe zosatira.
Chisomo will learn what her cervical cancer screening results are in a few days. Unlike many women in rural Malawi, she lives close enough to a hospital to go there for screenings. Access to health care in many villages is not so easy. Twice a month, Malamulo Adventist Hospital runs a rural clinic headed by Dr. Graybill and Stella. Up to 200 women begin lining up as early as 2 o'clock in the morning to be seen. Many of them walk for hours to get to the clinic. For most of these women, this is the only option they have to get cervical cancer screenings and follow-up care.
So we've started going to clinics that are farther away, less accessible, and to offer screening there. And many women have been screened so far. Our numbers have tripled since we started doing those outreaches. So the women there, they get educated, they get results from the previous screening days, and then they're screened.
Okay, chabwino.
Ndiye pano patikukamba za kansa ya khomo la chiberekero. Kansa ya khomo la chiberekero imayamba bwanji?
Pache zaka zanu ndi zingati? 38. Ndiye zotsatirazo tabwera nazo zikuonesa kuti pa khomo la chiberekeropo pali vuto. Ndiye chifukwa choti munabwera mwachangu tikuthokozeni kwambiri. Chithandizo mulandira mukaonedwa ndi adokotala. The next step for her, she will have to come for follow-up after 2 weeks at Malamulo Hospital. And then from there, that's when the doctor will know what step to take. Yeah.
So they all know somebody who's had it. And for them to feel empowered, like we can come somewhere and be seen and be helped, you can just see that in their faces, that they're so grateful. So that makes me feel like all that hard work and the sweat and the long day is well worth it.
It is very long, very tiresome. And sometimes we are not even able to finish all of them. Sometimes we run short of supplies. Sometimes we get so tired and it's dark, we can't see. But when I see that we have screened so many clients, I feel good about it.
On this Sunday, over 100 women received cervical cancer screenings and 76 got the results from previous tests.
How many did you do?
I only did 30.
Only 30?
Yeah.
So only 101. Only 101.
76 for results.
76 for results. That's pretty solid, I think.
Yeah.
Stella. She just has the same passion I do for what we do here. And she sees that these women really need help. And so she has just been a huge blessing for me. She's one of those things that keeps me going and doing what we do here.
All the places where we have the Malamulo clinics, I wish we could open up cervical cancer clinics also.
My vision would be to expand greatly on the number of women that we're able to screen and treat. We've seen how successful an outreach clinic can be, and we're only doing 2 a month. But what if we were doing 2 a week? That's really my goal, is to screen the women in at least our area to the point where we aren't having to give that bad news anymore.
Today is the day that Alice's sister Chisomo gets her test results, the day she finds out if she has cervical cancer too. She came with her friends. Because Alice tested positive, they have all been screened and will get their test results today.
Chisomo Paulo. Chisomo Paulo.
Zikomo kwambiri. Ndiye mukufuna muzamve zotsatira za kansa ya khomo la chiberekero? Zotsatira zanu zili bwinobwino. Palibe kansa ya khomo la chiberekero. Muli bwinobwino. Ndipo tisoka chirombo ka HIV mulibe. Muzayezisaso za kansa ya khomo la chiberekero chaka cha 2019 mwezi wa September.
mukamva mukuti bwanji
zikomo kwambiri
ndinu osangalala
eko basi
mukuganiza kuti nchifukwa chani muli osangalala kwambiri
sindapezeka zonse zimlobwino kuyenzi zimlobwino khasaso zimlobwino nene kusangalala kuti eya dzikasamalira patient aja yes.
She was so excited to have her results negative because seeing that her sister had cancer of the cervix and how she's suffering, she was also scared that she would be found positive for cancer. Now that it's negative, she's so happy.
ngoni kwadusa miezi itatu pamene ndinapezeka ndi vuto ngati limeneyo.
Sitikudziwa kuti kukhala kwanu kwa moyo wanu wa tsiku ndi tsiku mukuona kuti mukukhala bwanji.
Ndilokhumudwa ndikukhuza kwambiri. Zaima.
Ntchito zaima?
Ndikukhuza kwambiri chifukwa kuti ndilokhumudwa. Malima zakudimba pali maso kumunda pene amene umakhala wamantha umene pene ambeseni umakhala wamantha.
I was wondering what was going in her mind. That maybe she was thinking, I won't be able to see my daughter growing, getting married, or things like that. Thinking maybe I'm gonna die earlier. So a lot of things was going on in my mind, of which I thought we could have prevented that. Yeah.
Mayenga ndi abwino chifukwa choti amaniza ndizipita ku sukulu. Mayenga ndi abwino chifukwa choti amanisamalira amandipasa chithandizo chokwanira. Chimanisangalatsa kwambiri kwenikweni ndi sukulu. Ndikufuna ndizakhale dokotala chifukwa choti ndimasilira amene amakhala dokotala achibale athu akapitako akamaonesa chikondi nanenso nadzaonesa chikondi ngati chimene.
Koma Mulungu wakumwamba akulimbikitseni ndikupasani njira. Chinthu chimene chichi. Ndithu mungolimba mtima basi. Ndithu tili limodzi mumavuto amene zikomo kwambiri. Musale bwino ere.
That's life in this world, and that's what God calls us to engage with in many places around the world. Our time is gone, I think, if I remember your schedules out here. Are there questions I can answer about Loma Limda or anything else? Yes?
Regarding the program for the students who are going into this training, you're in Riverside, is that right? Or I mean in Bakersfield?
San Bernardino?
San Bernardino, Los Angeles, I'm from Idaho,
So am I.
I saw that facility there along the way, and it's a beautiful place. But the kids that are brought in there to train that are interested in that program, are they paying for that education?
Some of you know the phenomenon we call in this country for-profit colleges, and there's many of these that have been up. Some of them are shutting down now. They can get what are called Title IV funds, which is federal loans from the government to go to programs like this, and they often charge $15,000, $20,000 for a 6-month or 12-month program. When we looked at this, we decided not to go down that road. So basically, we have not even gone for Title IV funds and kept our tuition down to where a student pays $500 a month for a program. So a 6-month program would be $3,000, and then we've been able to find scholarship funds for half of that. So it takes it down to $1,500. We feel like we should not make it free because there's some value in having some skin in the game. So we'll find our students, we'll go around to relatives and scramble up that kind of money. If they can't find it at all, then we'll still help them get in the program. But so we've kept it down at a minimal fee thing and then find scholarships funds to cover that as well. So that's the way our program runs. So a full 12-month program would be $6,000, but we usually find money for half of that at least, and help the students enroll.
Doctor, does that count, or does that go towards any type of housing or food? Because that's an expensive idea going through that, isn't it?
I mean, expensive, even that amount to pay for?
No, I'm saying other expenses for life. These kids are they?
They struggle. Some of them are homeless, usually not homeless, but they're struggling with poor families, single-parent homes. They have a lot of struggles. There's no question. Some of them quite a few of them carry a job all the time they're going to school. So that is the reality that is there.
How many students are there?
It depends on the program, of course. We got a number of different programs. We're going to have a graduation here in June at a regular graduation time. There's 140 students who will be graduating at that time from several different programs. Yeah.
I wonder if you could talk a little bit about Loma Limda's relationship with the Sheer Memorial Hospital. And secondly, is the threat of nationalism real?
In Nepal? It's very real. Nepal is an avidly Buddhist country, and our hospital has struggled for years. It's really the only thing that the church really has there. We had an ADRA program in the past, and an orphanage, but this is what we've got now. It is struggling. We have 2 physicians from the States there now, Dale Molay, who came out of a background in the Army, I think it was, and is over there serving now. He's planning to come home probably the end of this year. And then one of our young graduates, Jonathan Thorpe. Some of you may know the Thorpe family. Brad and Candace Thorpe are the ones that run the Hope Channel. And it's their oldest son, Jonathan, that is over there. He's an internist. He and his wife, Amy Anna Westermeyer, I think it is, from the Northwest. Her family's up in Tillamook area, I think, as I recall. They are over there. We just about lost the hospital a few months ago. The new mayor of Banipal, the city in which, the little town in which the hospital is located, is an avid communist, Marxist. And so one of his platforms to run for office was he was going to take over the Adventist hospital, and succeeded in getting and starting a labor union in the hospital with about a quarter of our employees. Very few of our employees are Adventists because there's very few Adventists in Nepal. And so we face some tough calls. We challenge them on that and have been able to kind of keep that from expanding. And so we're carrying on. But it always is kind of sitting on the edge because of the threat in the country. You can't proselytize openly at all. All you can do is through the hospital. One of the things we're working on right now is actually to start a respiratory therapy program over there. Nepal has one of the highest smoking rates in the world. So there's a lot of both emphysema and cancer from smoking, but also most Nepalese families cook inside without vents, so you got a high index of cooking smoke in the house as well. So chronic lung disease is rampant in the country. So we're looking now to start a respiratory therapy training program that can help to guide the country in that way, and hopefully that will give us a market edge that the government will value to help protect the hospital when the politics kind of blow through. So yeah, those are the kind of problems we face in many of these countries. Okay, well, thank you all. It's always a joy to come out here and spend time with you, and thank you for what you do for this church and for Loma Linda.
Dr. Hart, stay here. You know, the word doctor, as I understand it, not only means healer, but it also means teacher. So would you come back next year and teach us some more?
I'll be glad to.
All right, thank you. And Herb Larson is going to come up and have our closing prayer. But before he does that, I would like to extract a promise. I got the promise from him, but I want to extract a promise from some of you, all of you, to pray for a certain individual that I know. I have a friend that I've been golfing with for the last 2 or 3 years, and he just died here last Tuesday. His wife feels desperate. She's suicidal, and I would like to have you pray for her. I'm not going to mention any names because I think that would be an injustice to her at this point. But would all of you pray for her? Lord knows who it is, so just pray for the one that has that tendency. And Herb, we're ready for you to have the benediction. Where is he? Good.
What an experience that was. Heavenly Father, how thrilling it is to listen to these stories tonight. We're so thankful and proud for Loma Linda University and for the programs that they run here and all over the world. Continue to bless them and be close to them, and each of us tonight. As we go home, we ask in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you for coming, and thank you for God bless.